Mr. Randy Duck, and welcome back for another video. And today we've got two replays in the Tier 10 British Tech Tree medium tank, the Centurion Action X. And the first replay we have for you today is here on Vineyards. Now if you want to see the crew and equipment setup I'm running in the Action X, you'll be able to see that at the bottom of the screen as I speak. But for this first replay, there's actually no enemy light tanks in the game, but also no enemy fun police, so we don't have to worry about getting shot down from the sky, from the artillery, and we can just focus on what is in front of us. So initially I'm going to go and play the sort of B5-6 ridge. You know, there's no artillery to shoot us there, so if we get into a fight we can potentially use the 10 degrees of gun depression this tank has, and it works quite well on a ridge line. You know, your turret's pretty decent on the Action X. It's not like super impenetrable. You know, you can, I wouldn't rely 100% on the turret, but you certainly can bounce shots off the turret, especially when you're maximising your gun depression to, increase the angle of that armour. So initially we got off, quite well there. We take a shot on the move, we track the enemy tank, and we pick up all of his hit points in track assistance. So got off to a great start already, picking up that track assistance, and we're just waiting to see if we can get another opportunity here. We shoot that enemy BZ and track him in place. Unfortunately don't pick up any more track assistance, but now I need to turn and help my team with these two tanks on the hill because they're pushing quite over aggressively. Not really going to work out too well for this enemy Soviet heavy tank there, because I'm going to be in a good position to farm him, use a good DPM, what the Action does have, and to help my team be able to take out that tank, pick up a little bit of damage and a little bit more track assistance as well, leaving this one isolated heavy tank on this hill now. So we're just going to again use the 10 degrees of gun depression and just try and farm these shots into the lower plate. We opt to go for the track there. Unfortunately we don't connect. I was hoping maybe we could pick up some more track assistance, given that we already got that 1,000 of track assistance from earlier. So we do again, we go through the drive wheel. This time we do connect, we get our shot through, and we pick up some more track assistance, putting us on to sort of 2,000 assistance with 1,200 damage and 11 enemy tanks remaining, and we got off to a good start of this game. So right now, what I'm thinking is, can we just take out this BZ, and then I'm going to try and move across to sort of the B8 area, because once we've got there and we've won that side, we're essentially going to take control of the map, and that will allow us to then push forward and light the tanks which will be camping in their spawn, because on Vineyards there will always be tanks camping in their base. So if you're able to get over there, you've got good view range here in the Action X, we can potentially spot that, bearing in mind that there's no enemy light tank, and we can try and pick up some more assistance. So we're going to go and make our play now and move over to that area in the sort of A8 area. One thing you have to sort of watch out for is sometimes when you make this play, there's still like a stealthy camping tank at sort of the A90, which hasn't got detected yet, and that's something you've got to be mindful, because when I do poke up on this ridge, if there is a tank there, then they're going to be able to have shots at me. So you can see I'm sort of being mindful of that as I make my approach, but it doesn't look like there is enemy tanks there at the moment, so otherwise you would like to think I'd be getting shot. So at the moment it's just this one isolated heavy tank which is holding us up. I have to be careful when I poke him, because as I say, there will be tanks camping in the base, and those tanks will have shots at me if I overextend too much. So as much as I want to kill that tank, I need to wait for a better opportunity. We get a shot into the enemy tank destroyer there. Unfortunately we only track him, but we do thankfully pick up a bit of assistance though, so it wasn't the end of the world. The enemy heavy tank, poor Tier 8, is a 2-shot to us. He's made a mistake and he's pushed further forward. This has given me a window opportunity to push up, use the house to give me a bit of shield there, and take out that enemy tank. And that's ideal now, because although it's technically a close game at 10 versus 9, if I'm honest, I'm feeling very confident we will win this game at the moment, just because now I know there's nothing stopping me from pushing forward and just lighting all the tanks in the base. And there's a good chance of us picking assistance, if not damage, because we can use these ridges here to stay safe, say hold down while we're trying to peek our shots and pick up some assistance. You can see that assistance is flying in there. Unfortunately I only track that Skoda, but again we pick up some assistance, put us on to about 4,000 assistance. Not a lot of damage though at the moment, only about 2,000 damage. That can change quickly, because you do have in this build about 3,732 DPM. which is decent DPM for a tier 10 medium. Obviously, there is a lot of other tier 10 mediums that have better DPM, but still, you know, it's decent, and I really enjoy this gun just because of the flexibility of the gun depression and how accurate it is, and good concealment, you know, the Action X has now, just because you can use you know, camo net on it and everything. Since all mediums, since like you had 6.0 a long time ago now, have just got a lot more stealthy out. That's just how the game's gone. So we're pushing forward, and as you can see, we're full health at this point, and I thought, you know what, this game is coming to an end, so I really don't care if the Murat, you know, puts this whole clip into me. I can afford to eat all that shells of damage, because ultimately I'm not going to need the rest of my hit points to win this game. And thankfully he actually bounces a shot, so I've got more hit points left than I thought I was going to have. So I've got 1,000 hit points, and there's only 4 tanks remaining. This game is won. It's just about how much can we get out of this game now until this game finishes. Try and snap a shot in enemy TD. I bounce it, but we do pick up about 6,000 assistance. And there's 2 enemy tanks remaining. I think the only tank I'm going to get any damage off potentially is this enemy tank destroyer there. And I'm just going to try and get behind him and go in as quickly as I can, because ultimately this tank is not going to last very long now. You know, everyone is making a beeline. And can I just get another pen, or maybe 2 if I'm lucky, to sort of finish off this game? So we do put 1 in, which brings us over sort of, you know, 4,400 damage, and that game is finished. But we've got 1 more replay to come, so let's see how we got on with this one. Like I say, this one was more a combined total of my assistance and damage. I think we got 4,400 damage, over 6,000 assistance. So a decent game with the ace tanker. But you know, 1 more replay to come, so let's see how we get on in that next replay. Okay, so welcome to replay number 2, where we are on Westfield, and again there's no enemy fun police, so we do not have to worry about getting shot from the sky, which is good news for us, because we can go and play the ridges in the D3-4 area, where we can get there fairly quickly, and then we can make use of our gun depression, and it will be a nice area for us to play, especially when we do not have to worry about getting shot from the fun police. This time though, there is 1 enemy light tank. Now you'd like to think the light tank would go to sort of the D867 area and try and spot the cross, because obviously it's really good when you've got the north spawn. That's a very good place to go and play when you're in your light tank to get that easy assistance. But we're going to go and try and take this ridge and see what we can do from this area, and hope we get a bit of support come with us, which it looks like we have, hopefully. Hopefully they're not all going to stay in their base. I think they're coming this way. But as we make our advance, we actually find the enemy light tank, and he's playing this ridge up here, which I don't think is really the best area for the light tank, because ultimately, you're going to spot stuff. You haven't even got artillery to shoot for you there, so you're not going to gain that much. Unfortunately, we missed our shot on the light tank as he tries to make his escape here, and we just want to peek this ridge to find out how many enemy tanks are coming our way. Now we spot this enemy Earthshaker. Now unfortunately we don't get off to a great start, we bounce him, but we do still have a lot of opportunity. He's kind of stuck right in the open now, and we're just going to farm him as he makes his cross. To be honest with you, if it wasn't for the fact I keep bouncing him, he would never make it to the other side. Now he stopped to put a shot into us. It was firing the Hesh, so he doesn't pen and we only take a little bit of splash damage. We put him onto a 1, and we should be able to hopefully finish him off before he gets into position. And we do, picking up our first kill of the game. And we get off to a decent start there, 1,200 damage, 1 kill. But the game at this stage, early days, it's looking like it's going to be a fairly even game. So we're just going to use this ridge. I'm just being a little bit careful because there was a machine spotted on the right hand side. I don't want to get clipped out if I overpeak this ridge here. You can see I'm just having a look just in case he does get detected. Try and keeping an eye on that, but at the same time I also want to try and lean over this ridge, make sure there isn't anything making an advance. We've got an opportunity to shoot the enemy at Death Star there. We put a shot in, we pick up a tiny bit of assistance for spotting that tank, and now the enemy E100's moved up. It's in my back of my mind thinking, right, he's moved up to that ridge. I'm not going to be able to lean over and get shots where I am, because I'm going to have to expose myself too much to the enemy tank destroyers in the back. So I'm going to reposition in a way to hopefully try and deal with this enemy E100 and just see what we can do from there. But as I do, I thought, oh, you know what, I'm going to take one opportunity to shoot this Death Star here. Unfortunately, yeah, I mean, it was always a bit risky there, but I wasn't detected, and the enemy obviously shot at one of the tanks in front of us and missed, and then hit us. So it is what it is. Just have to deal with that. We're going to move up now and try and, you know, kill this enemy E100, which is the plan. You know, when a tank moves into this position, all you have to do is, how can I kill him? I'm in a quick medium, just move and put him in a really awkward situation, because he's got an enemy E100 approaching him in the front now, and now he's fighting multiple angles, and he's never going to be able to survive multiple angles because of the way the armour works. If he's got his turret facing the tank in front, I'm going to be able to get shots into the side of his turret with my heat pen, which you can see I've swapped to. So I'm going to move up to where I've got easier shots here, and hopefully we can try and farm a bit of damage. Unfortunately, our friendly E100 does get shut down, but we're still able to farm this tank in the side, putting us on to about 3,000 damage. And the E100 is now a one-shot. Hopefully we can finish him off with this one. We do. We pick up our second kill of the game. And at this stage, it's still very even, you know, even on hit points, 11 versus 11. Going to try and squeeze in a shot here into the cupola of the machine. You can see the fantastic accuracy of the Action X allowed us to do so with that great aim time as well. So we're in a good situation where we've got shots of these tanks which are pushing up onto the ridge. Like I said, the game is very even at the moment. I wouldn't want to die now. I need to try and, you know, keep my tank in the game. Got a shot into the enemy French tier 8 tank destroyer there, and I'm looking forward to finish. He's a potential one shot to us. Unfortunately, ricocheted that shell as he comes back down. But now I've got to be a little bit careful as I poke this ridge, just knowing that there's tanks in the middle. If I get detected, which I will do if I shoot the tanks on my left, they're going to have shots into us. So that's something we've got to bear in mind. So we're just going to play this one. You know, there's no sense of urgency at this moment. The game's going at a slow enough pace. You know, I am aware that we're potentially losing the other side, and I may have to come back at some point to defend our base. But the Tiger 2 pushes up, and we get a nice shot here into the Tiger 2, and we should be able to farm him. He's pushed up into a situation, he gets tracked. We get another shot in, put us onto just shy of 5,000 damage, and we're looking for the kill shot, but before we can pull the trigger, he gets finished off by our friendly Object 752 there. So we're now on 5,000 damage, 2 kills. Enemy Dragon gets spotted, we slap a big one into him, damaging his ammo rack there, and now we're just going to, like I said, we're not going to full commit going across. It looks like our HEP tanks was already there in front, you know, spotting for us, so there's no reason to follow him into that position, because I may need to turn back at some point and defend my base. But then this enemy at tier 9 tank destroyer comes up, and I'm trying to think, hang on, his turret is facing the other way around. What is actually going on here? Thankfully he's given me easy pens, and the only thing I can think of is he DC maybe? I'm not sure, but either way, thank you for the donations. We picked up some more shots there, put us under 6,000 damage, 3 kills, and we're now into a 5 versus 8. We try and snap a shot into the one-shot machine. Unfortunately, it doesn't connect, but you know, you never know. You can't shoot what you do not fire at. And now, let's say we're losing the game, but the hit points is still pretty close. I'm not overly concerned at the moment, but I do need to start trying to take some of the enemy tanks out if I can. And looking at this, I'm thinking, what's the best thing for me to do? There's 2 tanks going towards our base. I don't want to risk the enemy team capping out, so I want to try and get back and see if I can set up to defend the other side. You know, we've done well over this side, picked up 6,000 damage, but there's still plenty of more tanks, you know, hit points available. We're actually being put into a 3 versus 7 at this point, so things aren't looking great for our team. But as you can see, the hit point pool is still fairly even, so we know there's a lot of one-shot tanks in the team, and this can change quickly. So one of the enemy tanks, so the enemy Leopard, gets taken out, and now this enemy VZ is crossed in the open. He's going to be easy farms for us. We put one in, we should have to finish, but it gets shut down by our friendly S-Conqueror before we can, and that's now brought it back to a 3 versus 5 here, and we actually have the advantage on the hit point. So I'm going to set up to a position, because we know there was an enemy light tank last spotted around our cap circle, and I'm just going to wait a little bit patiently and see if it gets spotted. You know, our S-Conqueror's there, and we might be able to then get a shot into him. I don't want to risk getting capped out. The light tank does get spotted, and we manage to squeeze in a shot, put him onto a one shot, and putting us onto just shy there of 7,000 damage with 3 kills now. Unfortunately, I kind of thought the machine was going to turn out on the right. It didn't, which is a shame. I'd like to finish off this machine just because he's a one-shot, but he's also got you know, a 4-shot autoloader, so I don't really want to get caught out and clipped out by that tank. So if I can kill him, it would be great. The light tank here might get an opportunity to finish him off. He actually gets shut down by our friendly Super Conqueror again, and now the enemy light tank's gone. That's good news for us. And I don't think there's too many more tanks coming this way. Enemy Skoda pokes up over the edge. We get a shot in, kill him, but you can see there another shot came from that ridge, so we know there's another tank there. I'm guessing maybe it's the enemy medium tank. Yeah, it's not the machine. If it is a Death Star, I've got to be careful because obviously Death Star could easily one-shot us with the Hesh, so we have to be a little bit conscious of that. We're on 4 kills, 7,000 damage now. Just trying to find where this tank is. You know, has he run, or is he over onto the left of the ridge, you know, to where I can't spot him? So I start to move to the left, thinking he must be over around this sort of side. I want to try and find him. At this point, I don't know what hit points he's on. But as we approach, we spot an enemy Death Star here. Now we're going to get one easy shot in when he's out in the open. Now this is a little bit risky because obviously, you know, he could potentially one-shot us, but we're only exposing a little bit of our turret, and we're able to take him out before we can even fire his gun. Picking up our 5th kill, and there's 2 enemy tanks remaining. One is the enemy Dragon, and one is the one-shot machine. Now you can see I was frustrated there. My shot went a lot higher up than where I aimed at. Maybe I could have waited, and I probably would have killed the machine there. And that is a nuisance because I'm on 5 kills. I want to try and pick up the Devastate medal if we can, or at least the Top Gun. I'm just trying to get as much out of this game as we can, but we should have an opportunity to finish the machine. We do. He hits us once, but that's well worth it. That tank's taken out, and now we've got an enemy Dragon where we're at least a 2-shot 2. So we're going to try and just rush over to him. You know, it's a tier 8 tank. At this point, we're on 8,000 damage, 6 kills. Well, pretty much no assistance, but we want to just try and find this Dragon. Now, I last spotted a Dragon sort of in the A7 area when I shot him at the start of the game. He's then got spotted, running on the other side. We get a lovely shot into him, put him onto a potential one-shot to us now. Now, the other tanks on my team, it looks like I am probably going to get to the Dragon before they do. I'm just praying that the Dragon doesn't just, you know, throw his tank by just driving out in the open, because he's got no hit points left, but it'll just be a nice way to end this game if we could pick up the 7th kill and end it with a Devastator medal as well. And it's just about, we will be the first tank who meets him. You know, he's got good mobility in the Action X. It's just a case of, is he going to drive out into the open, or is he going to hide? And I'm hoping he's going to hide behind the sort of K9 area and not poke. That's what I really want him to do. Please don't poke Dragon, because we want to try and pick up that kill. You know, I can't lose because, like I say, I'm a 2-shot to him, he's a 1-shot. It's just a case of, do I get there before my team gets there? So we make our advance. It's looking likely that I'm going to be able to get this shot in. I'm hoping, just don't throw yourself away, let me get the shot in, and thankfully I am. I think the other enemy medium, did he bounce? I'm not sure, but we picked up the 7th kill, finishing that game, and brings an end to the video. So we get 7 kills, 8,500 damage, and we do get the Ace Tanker and the Devastate medal there. So yeah, thank you so much for your amazing support. If you do like the video, please remember to like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel, and as always, happy tanking.
Hadouken!